Today we are working with finding slope when you are given 2 points. So sometimes you'll be given 2 points without a graph, without a line on a graph, so you can't really count the rise and the run. You're only given points on that would be found on a graph. So one thing you can do is you can actually plot those points, count how far the line went up, how far over the line went, and you could do the rise over run there. But in this case, we have to use the slope formula, which in most cases is y2 minus y1 over top of x2 minus x1. And you're probably wondering, what does y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, where would I find two y's, where would I find y2, where would I find y1, and so on. So if you were given 2 points, we have the x and y of one point, the x and y of another point, and if you're ever curious which one comes first, think about saying the alphabet. You may have to go 25, 26 letters in for some of you, but if you say the alphabet, you come to x before you come to y. X, Y, Z. So the first number will be the x value, the second number would be the y value. So if you are given 2 points, the first x is be your x1, your first y is your y1. So in your second point, that would be x2, that would be y2. So you now know what the value, when they talk about the y2, y1, all of that, that's where you find it. So using the slope formula, we know we're trying to find how much it goes up or down, how much a line will go up or down over top of a line going left or right. That is your rise over run, and the formula that they use for that is y2 take away y1 over top of x2 take away x1. The up and down values deal with the y, the left and right values deal with the x. So let's go ahead and take a point that is given to us and use that formula. So we have 3, -9, and 1, 17. So we're going to use that line. Let me make my pen just a little bit smaller. So we know that we're going to be using the formula for slope, which would be y2 minus y1 over top of x2 minus x1. And when we do that, we're going to set it up as a math problem, subtraction on top and bottom. Some people may use parentheses with these to fill in the blanks for those, but I'm going to write out the way that we have it. So we know that we are going to have y2 take a y, y1. So that would be, the second y is 17, and the first y is -9. So since it is 17 minus -9, you can write it like this. I usually write this with my class, so if you write it this way, I'll show you how you can correct that in a second. But let's go ahead and fill out the rest of the formula. So the top would be 17 minus -9. The bottom, again, we need our x1, which would be, we need our x2, which is the number 1, minus x1, which is positive 3. So that would be 1 take away 3. Now, in my class, we talk about adding the opposite, so 17 minus -9. In this case, if you have a negative, you can say they cancel each other out and make this 1 plus sign, or you can do add the opposite, which is still, you take the take away sign, the subtraction sign, make it positive. So whatever follows that number, or whatever follows that subtraction sign, would be the opposite. So if it was a positive 9, it would be a -9. But in this case, it was minus -9, which becomes plus positive 9. So the top actually becomes 17 plus 9. Now, if you're using a calculator, just put 17 minus -9. It will do all the work for you. Just don't forget to use those negatives correctly. So we're trying to find our rise over run. We're trying to find our difference in y. So the top right now, 17 plus 9, because 17 minus -9 is the same as 17 plus 9. That is a positive 26. And on the bottom, we have 1 take away 3. So if you have a positive 1, you need to take away 3, you know that it's going to go into the negative. So it'd be 1 minus 3 would be a negative 2. So anytime that you have a fraction like we have here, 26 over negative 2, anytime that in this case, the denominator is negative and the numerator is positive, when they are opposites, one is positive, one is negative, you know that your entire fraction is negative. Treat it as a division problem. A positive divided by a positive is a positive, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive because the negatives will cancel each other out. But anytime that they are opposites, a positive divided by a negative divided by a positive, you know that it's going to be a negative. So in this case, this fraction, this slope is negative because you have 26 over negative 2. But you'll also need to reduce this. Now, different people may do it 2 different ways. We know that both of them are even, and we know that the largest even number that will go into both 26 and negative 2 is 2. So you can divide both of these by 2 to reduce this slope, reduce this fraction. So 26 divided by 2 is 13. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So you will have a slope negative 13 over 1. Some people may have the slope of just negative 13. Now, the letter that represents slope, if you're using y equals mx plus b form, is m. So m would be negative 13 or negative 13 over 1. And all that tells you is that you are going to be, and then you can attach, I usually attach the negative with the top number. So that means negative 13 over 1. That means you'll be going down 13 and right 1 as you graph this line on a coordinate plane. But all we did today was we took a point and we tried to find out what the slope was in order to we had 2 points and we wanted to find out what the slope was. So let's do another one real quick now without as much talking. We're just going to go through our method of finding slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and use 5, 3 and negative 5, negative 5. So we know that our slope formula is y2 minus y1 over top of x2 minus x1. And one thing you can do, you don't have to use, it doesn't matter what order you put the x values in and the y values in, as long as you keep the x's on top and the y's on bottom and you use the same point first. So I'm going to do it backwards. No, actually, I'm not going to do it backwards. Let's go ahead and work this one. So y2 minus y1, my y2 is negative 5 minus 3 over x2 minus x1, which again is negative 5 minus 5. So when we have this, we have negative 5 minus 3. And if we would add the opposite, negative 5 plus negative 3, both are negative. So we know it's going to stay negative, so that's going to be negative 8. Negative 5 minus 5, so if we add the opposite, both of those are negative, so it's going to stay negative. Negative 5 plus negative 5 is a negative 10. And now we have a slope of negative 8 over negative 10. We just learned that if they're both negative, they will cancel each other out. So we know that our actual slope is going to be positive. We know the largest number that will go into both, if you're trying to reduce this fraction, that will go into both 8 and 10. Again, it's going to be a positive 2. So we will divide both of them by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So the points 5, 3 and negative 5, negative 3 have a slope of 4, 5, which means you'll be going up 4, right 5. It's a positive slope because it's a positive fraction, and that is how you find slope when you are given 2 points. Hope that helped.